All right, so are you ready to dive deep?
Always.
Because today we're tackling Isaac Newton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
New gravity
the
guy.
gravity guy.
Yeah. The
Exactly.
big one.
But
Yeah.
this isn't just about, like, apples falling from trees or whatever.
Right.
We're going beyond, the textbook
Mm-hmm.
to uncover the real Isaac Newton.
Yeah.
And trust me,
Okay.
based on, like, all the biography excerpts that we've got,
Right.
it's way more interesting than you probably think.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how someone we think of as this very one-dimensional scientific figure
Right.
was actually this incredibly complex person.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So let's start
At the very
at
beginning.
Christmas Day, 1642.
Oh, wow.
That's when Isaac Newton enters the world.
Okay.
Not exactly the, humble beginnings you might expect
Right.
for someone who would go on to, like, reshape our understanding of the universe.
Interesting. It's true. His early life was marked by hardship.
Okay.
His father died before his birth,
Oh,
and his relationship with his stepfather was very strained.
that's tough.
And interestingly,
Yeah.
he wasn't even considered a standout student.
Really?
Initially, no.
Huh.
Right.
So what, like, sparked this transformation then?
Right.
From ordinary kid to, like, scientific revolutionary?
Yeah.
Was there, like, a eureka moment?
I don't think it was like a single eureka moment,
Okay.
but there were some key turning points.
Okay.
For instance, his time at the King's School in Grantham.
Okay.
That's where his mechanical ingenuity started to show.
Okay.
He was building sundials
Cool.
and model windmills,
Wow.
like a real hands-on learner.
Yeah, I can totally picture him, like, tinkering away, figuring things out.
Totally.
It's amazing how, like, those early interests, oftentimes they foreshadow our later passions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But, like, his path to scientific discovery wasn't exactly straightforward, was it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
The plague forced Cambridge to close,
Oh, right.
which led to an unexpected period of isolation for Newton.
Okay.
And it was during these years, away from formal academia,
Yeah.
that he made some of his most groundbreaking discoveries.
Wow.
Yeah, seeds for calculus, his theories on optics,
Wow.
and even his ideas about gravity were all planted during this time.
That's incredible. It makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
if sometimes stepping away from the structured world
Mm-hmm.
of classrooms and lectures can actually be, like, a catalyst
Yeah.
for true innovation.
It's an intriguing thought.
Yeah.
It really highlights a key aspect of Newton's genius, though.
Okay.
His ability to think independently and challenge the existing paradigms.
So we're starting to see that he wasn't just a gravity guy, right?
Exactly.
He was into calculus, optics,
Yeah.
and who knows what else.
Yeah, who knows what else, right?
It sounds like we need to kind of broaden our understanding
Yeah.
of his areas of expertise a little bit.
Absolutely. While he's best known for his contributions to mathematics and physics,
Yeah.
his intellectual curiosity extended far beyond those boundaries.
Okay.
He was deeply interested in astronomy,
Mhm.
delving into, the mysteries of celestial mechanics.
Right.
But he also explored
Yeah.
seemingly unrelated fields,
Okay.
like alchemy.
Oh, hold on. Alchemy,
Yeah.
theology.
Yes.
Those don't exactly scream scientific revolution.
Right.
That's a side of Newton I never learned about in school.
It's a side that's often overlooked,
Okay.
but it's crucial to understanding the full scope of his intellectual journey.
All right.
You have to remember that in Newton's time,
Yeah.
the boundaries between science and other disciplines were much more fluid.
Okay.
Alchemy, for instance, wasn't seen as this mystical pseudoscience we view it as today.
Okay.
It was a respected field of inquiry,
Interesting.
blending elements of chemistry, philosophy, and spirituality.
So we need to, like, set aside our modern perspectives
I think so, yeah.
and try to see these different areas of study through his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're trying to piece together this giant puzzle
Yeah.
with each piece representing a different aspect of his intellectual pursuits.
Exactly, and it's this incredible range of interests
Yeah.
that makes him such a fascinating and enigmatic figure.
Okay.
It challenges our preconceived notions of what it means to be a scientific genius.
All right, let's tackle a controversy that's been swirling around Newton for centuries.
Okay.
The invention of calculus.
Ah, yes.
Didn't he actually develop it years before Leibniz?
That's right.
Okay.
What we know as calculus, Newton called fluxions.
Okay.
And he developed these ideas years before Leibniz published his own work.
Yeah.
However, Newton was notoriously hesitant to publish.
Oh, really?
He feared criticism and scrutiny from the scientific community.
Ah, so that classic fear of putting your work out there for the world to judge.
Yes.
It's something even brilliant minds like Newton struggled with. That
Exactly.
hesitation had some, like, major consequences.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
This delay led to a bitter priority dispute with Leibniz,
Oh, wow.
a feud that lasted for decades and tarnished the reputations of both men.
Oh, man.
It's a reminder that the world of scientific discovery isn't always about elegant equations and groundbreaking theories.
Right.
There's a human element,
Yeah.
complete with egos, rivalries, and the pressure to be recognized for your contributions.
It's like a real-life scientific drama unfolding.
It is.
But before we move on from math completely,
Yeah.
we have to at least touch on some of Newton's other contributions to the field.
Okay.
Calculus wasn't his only claim to fame.
No, not by a long shot.
Okay.
The binomial theorem, Newton's identities,
Okay.
Newton's method for approximating roots of functions, even classifying cubic plane curves.
Right.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
It's a testament to his mathematical genius that his work continues to influence various branches of mathematics even today.
It's mind-boggling to think about, like, the depth and breadth of his mathematical achievement.
Absolutely.
But let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and talk about something a little more, well, colorful.
All right.
His work on light and optics.
This is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
In 1666, Newton conducted his famous prism experiment.
Right.
Now, most people have heard about this.
Yeah.
Shining white light through a prism and seeing it split into a rainbow of colors.
Mm-hmm.
But what they might not know is how revolutionary this was at the time.
Okay.
It completely overturned the prevailing theory that white light was pure and that colors were just modifications of it.
So he basically turned our understanding of light on its head.
Exactly.
And he didn't stop there, did he?
No.
He also tackled the problem of chromatic aberration in telescopes.
Right. At the time,
Yeah.
telescopes used lenses,
Mm-hmm.
which caused different colors of light to focus at different points.
Yeah.
This would create blurry images
Right.
to solve this problem. Newton built the first reflecting telescope,
Oh, wow.
using mirrors instead of lenses.
That's pretty cool.
It was a groundbreaking innovation that allowed for much clearer and more powerful observations of the cosmos.
Talk about a hands-on scientist.
Mhm.
Like, he wasn't content with just theorizing.
Yeah,
He actually built the tools needed to advance his field.
absolutely.
That's incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
But it sounds like his journey in optics wasn't without its challenges.
right.
Didn't he have some run-ins with Robert Hooke?
Ah, yes, the Hooke rivalry.
Yeah.
Another prominent scientist of the time.
Right.
They debated over various scientific ideas, including the nature of light.
Okay.
These clashes were quite heated
Oh, no.
and ultimately led Newton to withdraw from public scientific debate for a time.
Really?
Yeah, it's a reminder that even brilliant minds are susceptible to the sting of criticism and the pressure of academic rivalry.
It definitely humanizes these scientific giants, showing that they were just as prone to strong personalities and clashes of ego as anyone else.
Absolutely.
But you know, what I find really intriguing is the connection between Newton's theories of light and his work in alchemy.
Oh, yeah.
They seem like completely different fields,
Totally.
yet there's a fascinating link there.
Right, in Newton's mind,
Yeah.
these seemingly disparate fields were actually intertwined.
Okay.
His alchemical experiments, which were quite extensive, informed his understanding of light and matter. It's a perspective that's hard for us to grasp today,
Right.
but it's a testament to how interconnected knowledge was in that era.
So we can't just dismiss his alchemy as some quirky side hobby.
I don't think so, no.
It was an integral part of his scientific process,
Right,
shaping his understanding of the world in ways we're only beginning to comprehend.
precisely. And it's a reminder that the path of scientific discovery is rarely linear.
Okay.
It's full of unexpected detours and connections
Yeah.
that might seem strange or even misguided in retrospect,
Right.
but ultimately contribute to the evolution of knowledge.
Okay, I think we're ready for the big one.
Right.
Universal gravitation.
Yes,
This is the discovery that made Newton a household name,
it is.
even centuries later.
That's right.
And while the story of the apple falling from the tree
Right.
might be more anecdotal than factual,
Mm-hmm.
it does illustrate Newton's thought process.
Yeah.
He wondered if the force that pulled the apple to the ground could extend far beyond Earth,
Right.
perhaps even influencing the motion of the moon.
Yeah.
This seemingly simple question led him to formulate his law of universal gravitation,
It did.
one of the most profound scientific discoveries of all time.
Absolutely.
It's amazing how, like, a simple observation can spark such a revolutionary idea.
It is.
But we need to be clear here.
Yeah.
Newton didn't actually discover gravity, right?
That's correct.
Oh,
Gravity as a phenomenon was already well known.
okay.
What Newton did was provide a mathematical explanation for it,
Mm.
connecting it to the motion of celestial bodies. He showed that the same force that causes an apple to fall to the ground also governs the orbits of planets
Right.
and the tides of the oceans.
Wow.
This was a groundbreaking realization, unifying our understanding of the cosmos and laying the groundwork for modern physics.
Okay, so I'm starting to understand the magnitude of his contribution.
Yeah,
But how did he actually go about proving his ideas?
right.
Was it all just theoretical calculations, or did he conduct experiments as well?
Well, Newton was a master of both theoretical and experimental science.
Okay.
In 1684, he wrote De Motu Corporum in Gerum,
Mm.
which laid out the mathematical framework for his theory of universal gravitation.
Okay.
This work served as the foundation for his masterpiece, Principia Mathematica.
Ah, Principia Mathematica,
Yes.
the book that changed the world.
Indeed,
Yeah.
Principia was a monumental achievement.
Yeah.
It laid out the laws of motion and universal gravitation in a clear and concise mathematical language. It explained a vast array of phenomena, from the motion of projectiles to the precession of the equinoxes.
Oh.
It was a paradigm shift in our understanding of the universe, and its impact continues to be felt to this day.
All right, so we've covered Newton the mathematician, Newton the physicist, and Newton the inventor.
Yeah.
But there's another side to him that we haven't explored fully,
Right.
his religious and alchemical pursuits.
Mm-hmm.
These seem like strange bedfellows for a scientific revolutionary.
It's true.
Yeah.
Newton was a devout Christian,
Okay.
but his beliefs were far from orthodox.
Hmm.
He rejected the Trinity,
Right.
a core doctrine of the Church of England, which was considered heresy at the time.
Wow.
He also spent a significant amount of time and energy on alchemy,
Mm-hmm.
which might seem odd to us today,
Right.
but was a respected field of inquiry in his era.
So we're starting to see a more complex picture emerge.
Yeah.
A man of science who was also deeply engaged in spiritual and mystical pursuits.
And it's important to remember the historical context. In Newton's time, the lines between science and other disciplines were much more fluid.
Okay.
Alchemy, for instance, was seen as a potential path to unlocking the secrets of nature.
Interesting.
And Newton's religious beliefs deeply influenced his worldview and his approach to understanding the universe.
It's clear that we can't neatly categorize Newton into any one box.
I agree.
He was a scientist, yes,
Yeah.
but also a theologian, an alchemist, and a philosopher. He was a product of his time,
Yeah.
but also a visionary who transcended it.
Absolutely. And it's this very complexity, this juxtaposition of seemingly contradictory interests and pursuits
Yeah.
that makes him such an enduringly fascinating figure.
So we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from his humble beginnings
Mm-hmm.
to his groundbreaking scientific discoveries and his more enigmatic pursuits.
Yes.
What do you think so far?
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I think we're just beginning to scratch the surface.
Okay.
And as we continue to explore his life and work, we'll uncover even more layers of complexity and brilliance.
That's what makes these deep dives so exciting.
It is.
We're peeling back the layers of history, uncovering the hidden stories and the multifaceted individuals behind the legendary names.
Mm-hmm.
And Newton, despite his towering intellect,
Yeah.
was ultimately human.
Right.
He struggled.
He did.
He erred.
Mm-hmm.
He questioned.
Yeah.
But through it all,
Yeah.
he never stopped seeking knowledge.
Absolutely.
And that, listener, is a legacy worth emulating.
Beautifully said.
And in part 2,
Yes.
we'll delve deeper into some of the lesser-known aspects of Newton's life.
Right.
We'll explore his alchemical experiments in more detail,
Okay.
his unconventional religious views,
Mm-hmm.
and even his less-than-flattering personality traits.
Oh, boy.
So stay tuned.
Looking forward to it. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of Isaac Newton.
Part 2.
We've already uncovered so much about this complex figure, haven't we?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
From his difficult childhood
Right.
to his revolutionary scientific discoveries. It's clear there's more to Newton than meets the eye.
Absolutely. And in this part, we're going to delve even deeper
Okay.
into some of the lesser-known aspects of his life.
Right.
Remember how we talked about his fascination with alchemy
Oh, yes.
and his unconventional religious views?
Yeah.
Well, get ready to explore those in more detail. Yeah.
It's easy to dismiss alchemy as some kind of mystical pseudoscience,
Yeah.
especially from our modern perspective.
Sure.
But to truly understand Newton,
Mm-hmm.
we need to see it through the lens of his time.
Okay.
Back then, alchemy was a respected field of inquiry, a blend of chemistry, philosophy, and spirituality.
So it's almost like we need to time travel back to the 17th century
I think so.
and step into Newton's shoes to really grasp
Yeah.
what he was trying to achieve with his alchemical experiment.
Exactly. And when we do that,
Yeah.
we start to see that his alchemical work wasn't just some strange side hobby. It was deeply intertwined with his scientific thinking.
Really?
In fact, some scholars believe that his alchemical experiments
Okay.
actually influenced his understanding of light and matter,
Interesting.
which ultimately led to his groundbreaking work in optics.
So rather than seeing a separation between,
Yeah.
his scientific pursuits and his alchemical explorations,
Right.
we should view them as interconnected pieces of a larger intellectual puzzle.
Precisely. It's a reminder that the path of discovery is rarely linear. It's full of unexpected twists and turns. And sometimes the most groundbreaking insights come from exploring seemingly unrelated fields.
Okay, so we're starting to see how alchemy fit into Newton's worldview.
Yeah.
But what about his religious beliefs?
Right.
We touched on the fact that he rejected the Trinity,
Yeah.
which was considered heresy by the Church of England.
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a bit more? Of course, Newton was a devout Christian, but his beliefs were far from orthodox. He spent years studying the Bible and early Christian texts, coming to his own interpretations.
Okay.
And his rejection of the Trinity, a core doctrine of the Church, stemmed from his deep dive into those texts.
Interesting.
He believed that the early Church had been corrupted and that its teachings had strayed from the true message of Christ.
So he was more of a theological scholar than a blind follower of dogma.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
He approached theology with the same analytical rigor that he applied to his scientific work.
Okay.
He questioned,
Yeah.
he researched, and he came to his own conclusions, even if those conclusions were controversial and potentially dangerous
Oh, wow.
in the religious climate of his time.
It's amazing to think about, the intellectual courage
It really is.
it must have taken to hold those views,
Yeah.
especially considering the power of the church back then.
Absolutely. It does make you wonder how his unconventional religious views might have influenced his scientific thinking.
Right.
Did his rejection of traditional authority and religion extend to his approach to science?
That's a really good question.
It's certainly possible.
Yeah.
His willingness to question authority, whether in religion or science, was a defining characteristic.
Right.
And some scholars believe that his theological studies, particularly his focus on prophecy and biblical interpretation, actually sharpened his analytical skills,
Okay.
which he then applied to his scientific work.
So instead of seeing, a conflict between his faith and his science, we might see, this subtle interplay between the two.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
His faith, even if unorthodox, provided him with a framework for understanding the universe.
Okay.
He saw the world as a grand design created by God.
Right.
And his scientific work was, in a way, an attempt to decipher the language of that creation.
It's like he saw himself as both a scientist and a theologian, using different tools to explore the same ultimate truth.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Yeah.
It highlights the fact that, for Newton, knowledge wasn't compartmentalized. He saw connections between seemingly disparate fields.
Right.
And he wasn't afraid to blur the lines between science, religion, and philosophy.
Okay, so we've been talking about, the brilliant, inquisitive side of Newton.
Right.
But he also had a reputation for being, a bit difficult.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He wasn't exactly known for his warm and fuzzy personality.
No.
He could be quite solitary, prone to bouts of melancholy and intense focus. And as we saw with the Leibniz controversy, he wasn't afraid to engage in heated disputes and hold grudges for years.
It's almost like he had a touch of the stereotypical mad scientist about him.
Perhaps.
Right.
But it's important to remember that those personality quirks were likely part of what made him such a brilliant and relentless thinker.
Okay.
His intense focus and determination allowed him to delve deeper into problems than most others,
Right.
making connections that others missed.
So it's that classic double-edged sword of genius. The same traits that can lead to groundbreaking discoveries
Right.
can also make someone difficult to deal with on a
Yes.
personal level.
Precisely.
Right.
And it reminds us that scientific progress isn't just about brilliant minds working in isolation.
Okay.
It's also about collaboration,
Yeah.
competition,
Mm.
and sometimes even clashes of personality.
Right.
It's a human endeavor full of complexities and contradictions.
Speaking of contradictions,
Yeah.
let's talk about Newton's role at the Royal Mint.
Okay.
It seems like a strange career move for a scientific genius.
Right.
What was he doing there?
Right.
And was he any good at it?
It might seem like an odd fit,
Yeah.
but Newton took his role as warden
Okay.
and later master of the Royal Mint very seriously.
Okay.
Remember, this was a time when counterfeiting was rampant,
Right.
and the integrity of the currency was crucial to the stability of the realm.
So he was essentially like a financial watchdog,
Exactly.
tasked with protecting the nation's economic well-being.
Exactly.
Okay.
He was responsible for overseeing the production of coins,
Mm.
ensuring their quality and preventing counterfeiting.
Right.
And he was incredibly effective in this role.
Wow, really?
Yeah, he introduced new minting techniques,
Okay.
reformed the currency system, and ruthlessly pursued counterfeiters,
Oh,
even using some questionable methods to gather evidence.
it sounds like he brought the same intensity and focus to his work at the Mint that he brought to his scientific pursuits.
Absolutely.
Okay.
He was a man of action,
Yeah.
as well as intellect,
Right.
and he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty,
Yeah.
whether it was conducting experiments in his lab
Right.
or tracking down criminals.
This is fascinating.
It is.
We're seeing a completely different side of Newton,
Yeah.
a man who was not only a brilliant scientist and thinker,
Right.
but also a capable administrator
Yeah.
and even a bit of a detective.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It's a reminder that people are rarely one-dimensional.
Mhm.
Even someone as renowned for their intellectual achievements as Isaac Newton
Yeah.
had other talents and passions that shaped his life and legacy.
All right, we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
from alchemy and religion
Yeah.
to Newton's personality and his role at the Royal Mint.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
What do you think, listener?
Yeah, are you starting to see a more complete picture of this complex and fascinating figure?
I hope so. We're beginning to see the tapestry of his life,
Yeah.
woven with threads of brilliance, ambition, contradiction,
Right.
and even a touch of darkness.
And in our final part, we'll
Yeah.
explore Newton's enduring legacy
Okay.
and how his work continues to shape our understanding of the universe and inspire generations of scientists and thinkers.
Can't wait.
Welcome back.
Back for more Newton.
More Newton! It's time for like the final chapter
Okay.
in our exploration of Isaac Newton.
Right.
We've journeyed through like all of his scientific triumphs,
Yeah.
his less conventional pursuits,
Mm.
even glimpsed at like the more difficult aspects of his personality.
Oh, right.
But now let's talk about his legacy.
Okay.
It's hard to overstate just how much his work continues to shape our understanding of the world.
It really is. I mean,
Yeah.
when you think about it, Newton's laws of motion and universal gravitation were paradigm shifts.
Okay.
They weren't just like incremental advancements. There
Right.
were foundational ideas
Yeah.
that redefined how we view the universe.
Okay, break that down for me.
Yeah.
What exactly made these ideas so revolutionary?
Well, before Newton,
Yeah.
the motion of objects on Earth and the movement of celestial bodies
Right.
were seen as completely separate realms,
Okay.
governed by different principles. Right.
Newton showed that the same fundamental force,
Okay.
gravity,
Yeah.
was at play in both.
Yeah.
This was huge.
Yeah.
It unified our understanding of the cosmos,
Okay.
showing that the universe operates according to consistent, discoverable laws.
So he basically created this like mathematical blueprint
Yeah, kind of.
for the universe, like
Yeah.
explaining everything
Right.
from why apples fall
Yeah.
to how planets orbit the sun.
Exactly.
And his work wasn't just theoretical.
No,
Right.
it had practical applications
Okay.
that ripple through history.
Okay.
His laws of motion laid the groundwork for modern engineering and technology.
Yeah.
I mean, everything from bridges and skyscrapers
Right.
to cars and airplanes
Uh-huh.
are designed using principles that Newton first articulated.
That's mind-blowing.
I know.
We take those things for granted today.
Right.
But it all goes back to his understanding
Yeah.
of how forces interact and how objects move.
Absolutely.
And let's not forget his work in optics. Right.
Remember that groundbreaking prism experiment
Of course.
that showed white light is actually composed of all these different colors? This challenged like long-held beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And paved the way for our modern understanding of light and color.
Right.
Plus,
Yeah.
his invention of the reflecting telescope
Yeah.
revolutionized astronomy,
He did.
allowing us to see farther and clearer into the cosmos.
Absolutely.
So he was like a hands-on innovator,
Oh, yeah.
not content with just theories on paper.
Yeah.
But his influence goes far beyond just like physics and astronomy, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
Okay.
Newton's work had a ripple effect on philosophy, theology, even politics.
Really?
Think about the Enlightenment,
Yeah.
a period of immense intellectual and cultural change.
Right.
In the 18th century,
Mm-hmm.
Enlightenment thinkers were deeply inspired by Newton's ideas.
Interesting.
They saw his work as proof that the universe was rational,
Okay.
governed by laws that could be understood through reason and observation.
So his scientific discoveries actually fueled a shift
Total.
in how people thought about the world
Yeah.
and their place in it.
Precisely.
Wow.
They started applying these principles to human society,
Okay.
arguing for individual liberty, democratic governance, and the separation of church and state.
Wow.
I mean, these were radical ideas at the time,
Yeah.
but they were inspired, at least in part,
Yeah.
by Newton's vision of a universe
Right.
governed by natural laws.
So his impact goes way beyond equations and scientific discoveries.
Mm-hmm.
He helped shape the course of Western thought
Yeah,
and influence some of the most important social and political movements in history.
absolutely. And
Wow.
even though he was a devout Christian,
Right.
his work inadvertently influenced religious thought as well.
Oh, so.
Well, deism, for example,
Okay.
a belief system that gained popularity during the Enlightenment,
Mm-hmm.
saw God as a creator who set the universe in motion,
Oh.
but then stepped back, letting it unfold according to natural laws.
It's fascinating how a scientist
know.
focused on the physical world
Right.
could have such profound
Yeah.
and unintended consequences on realms of philosophy, religion, and even politics.
It speaks to the power of ideas
Yeah.
to transcend disciplinary boundaries
Mm-hmm.
and shape the course of human history.
For sure.
But as we wrap up,
Yeah.
it's crucial to remember that Newton,
Yeah.
despite his genius,
Mm.
was a product of his time.
What do you mean by that?
Well, his worldview, even his scientific ideas,
Yeah.
were influenced by the social, cultural, and religious context of 17th century England.
Right.
Some of his beliefs and pursuits might seem strange or even misguided to us today.
Right, like his interest in alchemy,
Exactly.
which we wouldn't consider real science now.
Yeah, but even within that context,
Yeah.
what sets him apart is his relentless curiosity.
Hmm.
His willingness to challenge conventional wisdom,
Right.
and his unwavering pursuit of truth.
Yeah.
That's the enduring legacy of Isaac Newton. The power of asking why.
Yeah.
And the courage to seek answers, even if those answers lead you down unexpected paths.
Beautifully said. So next time you look up at the stars
Yeah.
or marvel at like a technological innovation,
Mm-hmm.
remember Isaac Newton,
Yeah,
the man who dared to see the universe differently,
he did.
and in doing so, changed the world forever.
Absolutely.
That brings us to the end
It does.
of our deep dive into the world of Isaac Newton.
Wow.
What a journey.
Yeah, fascinating guy.
I hope you enjoyed it.
Me too.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning,
Yeah,
and keep those minds engaged.
always.